John Murphy at Murtech.com with your daily news update. Okay, here we are on April the 1st in the year of our Lord 2026, and I have no April Fool's jokes for you. Sorry about that, but I do have a lot of great information that I do want to share with you. Let's click over here to Murtech on Rumble. Okay, this is my Rumble channel, and let's get into this. Episode 1874, it says upcoming, but I guess that could be an April Fool's because we are actually live. So let me jump into this. But I guess that could be. I told you. Na boo boo. Okay, let me close out the live chat and slide down here and click the show more button and show you that we have information from Dan Bongino, ACLJ Sekulow, American Center for Law and Justice, Doug in Exile, and Wendy Bell. April's Fools. Okay, I do have some shout outs to give from Viva M, just started following my channel. Joshua 1015 just started following my channel. Lynn's RH just started following my channel. Frank VK just started following my channel. And D. Franchi just started following my channel. All right, so thank you very much, folks, for following my channel. I greatly appreciate that. I hope you're tuned in, and I hope you enjoy the content. Okay, let's slide down here and give a shout out to Debbie BS for reposting my episode 1873. And Debbie BS commented on my daily news wrap-up from yesterday. Debbie BS, Viper Senior, and Cotton Ball 31 commented on my episode 1873. Debbie BS commented on my extra 656A. Debbie BS and Glamma Turtle commented on my episode 656B, and Debbie BS commented on my extra 656C. So thank you very much, folks, for your comments. I enjoy reading your feedback, and I certainly appreciate your support. So let me give this a thumbs up. There we go. Good deal. And if you could give me a thumbs up right under here, I would greatly appreciate it. And please, give me something in the live chat like Debbie BS just did. Hi, Debbie BS. Let me give you a wave here. Debbie BS. And there you go. Thank you for chatting. Chat with me, folks. I need some chats. Chat, chat, chat. Okay, Dan Bongino, The Biggest Fraud in D.C., episode 2485. Let's see what that's all about.
Start with a banger today. If Trump had the greatest hits, this is easily a top 10 for me, and that's a lot. He's been doing this for a long time between his business life and his political life. Here he is yesterday. He's asked a question by Jeff Mason, and I kept it playing a little bit at the end because another reporter chimes in and he wrecks her too. Jeff Mason's like, hey, the Iranians are threatening us with all this stuff. And it just sounds really terrible. I mean, again, this is the doomers in the media. And Trump's like threatening us with what? Because he knows exactly what's going on behind the scenes. Watch this clip. This is fantastic. Check this out.
The Iranian government threatened a bunch of U.S. companies today in the region, including Google, Apple.
With what? What did they threaten them with? PP guns? Or
well, that's
they don't have much left to threaten.
My question for you is: are you?
I don't know. I mean, what are they? You made a say. What did they threaten them with? I don't know. Tell me, how did they threaten them?
Well, all I know is that they threatened them, sir.
What does that mean?
Fair enough.
He said something nasty.
Is the government in touch with these companies? Are you helping to backstop them?
You don't even know what the threat was. What was the threat? I haven't heard it. What was the threat? Did they say they're going to blow them up? They're going to hit them. They're not. You know what they're not going to do? They're not going to hit them with a nuclear weapon.
Yeah. Is this something you're concerned about, sir?
No.
Iran's IRGC issues a warning that they will target 18 U.S. technology companies if the U.S. continues targeted assassinations of Iranian leaders beginning on April 1st. Those companies include NVIDIA, Apple, Microsoft.
Most of those people are dead already.
Most of those people are already dead. Guys, listen. I understand the politics of war are always going to be difficult. I get it. I get it. And they should be. Come back to me head on. There you guys something. They should be. It is the most grave, serious decision a commander-in-chief can make. Period. However, there is no question that as a tactical exercise in military might, this has been an unbelievable success that's probably going to serve as a warning to China and Russia. Don't F around, because you don't want to find out like the Iranian mullah theocracy did. The point in playing that piece was, listen, open up the show with a little bit of a laugh, how Trump just constantly owns these guys who want you to paint him as a buffoon. They're these intellectuals, and this Trump is just this New York moron, and he just constantly beats their asses. The point is that there's an asymmetry here. I love freedom of the press. I will defend it to the end, even for the morons in the press. But what the press people don't acknowledge, which is stunning, is they are not aware of what they speak. The Iranians have been threatening us. Trump's like, okay, with what? He doesn't know because he's not read it on the program like Trump. All I'm telling you is I posted yesterday, it was meant to be obviously satirical and funny, but about how 90% of what you read in the media is 50% false, and the other 10% is 99% false. It's just bullshit because they don't know. It's like someone in the press commenting on a flux capacitor they've never seen before and challenging the inventor of the flux capacitor on a machine they don't know how it works. They can do it, and it should be protected. It doesn't mean they actually know anything. Couple more things we have to hit right away in the beginning of the show. Speaking of people, media people who are just absolutely full of shit, yesterday's show did big numbers, and I think it did big numbers because people are really tired of the bullshit, folks. The Daily Mail, of course, put out that piece yesterday about how, that the bullet did not match. That is not what the report said at all. The report was pretty clear that due to the fragmentation of the bullet, it was going to be difficult to identify some of the markings. Now, what did they do yesterday or today? They doubled down again. Ballistics experts reveal real reason bullet used to kill Charlie Kirk did not conclusively match rifle allegedly used by suspect Tyler Robinson. You see what they're doing here? Again, this is an ongoing criminal case. Mr. Robinson is entitled to a presumption of innocence and a trial by his peers. And if he is convicted, it has to be beyond a reasonable doubt. That's it. However, the Daily Mail is full of shit. The Daily Mail either can't read or is now trying to backtrack on the ridiculous headline yesterday where they were widely mocked. Folks, people are tired of this. That's why they're coming to shows like this. They're coming to shows like this because they want the truth. And we gave you the truth. This man is entitled to due process like everyone else. But so is the state of Utah that is prosecuting this case. They are entitled to a jury free of tampering. And this is getting ridiculous. That is not what the story said yesterday. And I'm noticing severe backlash now, thankfully, online from people who are getting tired of this. People are getting tired of the fraudsters too. And folks, it's a difficult conversation for me because I really believed in this guy. I did. I supported him for a while, even when, him and President Trump butted heads. Been good on some issues. But I'm going to tell you something. I have never been as disappointed in a human being in politics as I am in Tom Massey. I largely stayed out of that race and make too many comments on it. Because the people of Kentucky will choose who they want. If they want Tom Massey, I'm not a resident of that district. I live in Florida. You pick who you want. Got his opponent coming on in just a little bit, about an hour. We'll ask some questions about some issues that matter to you, constitutional carry, Iran, NATO. However, when I got up in that position, I could not believe what a fraud this guy was. I mean, like an epic level fraud. Whatever you think of this guy, I'm telling you, I have no dog in the fight. I supported him. He is an absolute fraud. Fraud. He decided to do some money bomb thing and just completely BSing people about my record there, just lying to your face. I tried multiple times to get this guy to come over to give him a briefing on a case he kept bloviating about on Twitter, causing a serious problem, by the way. And I thought he believed in due process. He's supposedly a libertarian, wants to try a case on X. And he didn't do it. I was there from March until January of this year. You know how many times he came over to visit and ask about these cases despite multiple offers? He kept bloviating. No, we could have actually told him. 0. And there's nothing he's going to tell you. All of his BS responses, his fake community notes, it's all a distraction from the fact that he doesn't want to admit that he was offered a detailed briefing within certain parameters on these matters he's bloviating about on X in order to attack President Trump and others and due process, could have cleared it up for him right away, and he just didn't want to do it because he preferred to be stupid. Nothing will change that. He'll try to distract you with his razzle-dazzle, his bot army, like we haven't been through this before. You think you're the first time we've entered into a primary and supported a candidate and had other people come in with the bots and the bullshit? What do you think? We're like newbies at this? I promise I'll far outlast you. I promise. I've heard it all before. The guy is a fraud. Anyone telling you otherwise, including him, is lying. He did not want to know. He preferred to be dumb so he could plead ignorance on X and attack President Trump and his agenda. You believe in due process or not? Whether it's the Daily Mail piece on Tyler Robinson or the pipe bomb case, which I've not commented on, because I actually believe in due process. The subjects in these cases are entitled to a free and fair trial by a jury of their peers. Some people believe that, some people don't. Folks, Kentucky, you pick who you want. I'm just telling you, that dude's a fraud. I've never seen anything like it in my life. And I get it, you little botsters come in. I've seen it. I've seen it all before. You're wasting your time. I can do this all day, and I will. And there's nothing you can do about it, like 0, less than 0, like the Robert Downey Jr. movie. We got a lot of things to talk about. President Trump's at the Supreme Court now, or over there. They're talking about birthright citizenship. I'm going to get to that later. But a lot of big news happened yesterday. I don't want to miss either. There is just a huge body of material. This is probably one of the biggest news days of the year. Birthright citizenship. We had a case break yesterday, 8-1 at the Supreme Court on conversion therapy. A lot of stuff to talk about, so let's get right to it. First, regarding the Strait yesterday, President Trump is going to brief the nation tonight. He's going to brief at, I believe, 9 p.m. Eastern time tonight. Whether it's from the Oval or not, I don't know. Be from the White House. He's going to talk about the status of the war. I only bring this up and put up that Wall Street Journal article because one of the constant criticisms you see with President Trump and the war effort is that this is a forever war. It is not, in fact, forever. It's been barely a month. Now, President Trump, as you see in this Wall Street Journal piece, which is really no friend to him, by the way, President Trump tells aides he's willing to end the war without reopening Hormuz. Now, unbelievably, the same people, here's the hypocrisy here. The same exact people who are complaining about President Trump dragging us into a forever war are now complaining because President Trump is considering not engaging in a forever war. Justin, am I wrong? I know I'm not wrong. They're the same people. I can't believe this guy's dragging us into this forever war. Now they're like, I can't believe he's pulling us out of what I thought was a forever war. Which one is it, guys? I'm just asking. Because any criticism I would have of the effort is going to be based on a principle. I want a forever war either, without a strong exit plan. Remember, one of Fox Connor's rules of war, never go to war for long. Meet your objectives and get out. The Strait is of far more interest to European allies and China, not ally, because that's where a good chunk of oil has to bypass the Straits of Hormuz. If they're not interested in opening it up, it affects them far worse than it affects us. I thought you were our allies. I asked Ed about this later, our NATO, because President Trump brought up again, like, what is the purpose of a NATO alliance if the alliance only works when you need us? What about when we need you? That sounds like an asymmetric alliance to me. You're not meeting your military requirements. He's going to address this tonight, but please get your story straight on the attacks on the president. We have troops in a combat zone in a limited engagement. He's already set a timeline. Forever war is just a bullshit criticism. Now you're bitching about the other thing. By the way, these are your opponents on this. If you're one of the doomers in here who's already declared the war over a month in, you have no idea what the strategic long-term ramifications of this could be. None at all. We're not even in the midterm yet. Midterm of the war, not the election. Here are some of the people on the other side of this argument you're lying with. You see this guy? He goes to a rally and asks about not the Straits of Hormuz, but the gays of Hormuz. Watch the answer. Check this
Isn't it a little bit homophobic that we're so focused on the Straits of Hormuz and not the gays of Hormuz?
Yes, I agree. Yes,
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah.
Why do you think they're willing to leave the gays of Hormuz behind?
I think it's just historically, like, gays have always been
Yeah.
very discriminated against, which is wrong on so many levels.
Even in war.
Yeah, even in war. And it just takes, I think, more, more reform in government, obviously. And then also educating society.
I just feel like if we're going to go in there, we can't leave the gay people behind.
Right.
I don't think we should go in there at all, but if we're going to, the gays of Hormuz, we could turn it into Fire Island.
For sure, for sure.
No, that's no cap on God FR on YouTube. This is the people you're aligning with. Guy's favorite video of the day. I happen to agree. This may be one of the first times we agree on video of the day. These are some of the imbeciles on the other side of this space. Folks, I will say it again. Political arguments to be made for the war in Iran are valid on both sides. Valid in that we need to discuss this stuff publicly. When we are talking about U.S. troops in a war zone, potentially coming back in body bags, this is the most grave decision we have to make. But the criticisms of it should be valid. This is a forever war. We're 4 weeks in. I cannot believe how many people pretending to be on our side on X are already ready to declare the war law. It's over. It's over, man. You're like 1 round into a 12-round boxing match. You're like 10 seconds into a UFC 5-round championship fight with 5-minute rounds. Is that, folks, if this blows up in our face long term, and God forbid, knock on wood, it doesn't, something awful happens, you have my word. You have my absolute word. We will discuss it openly and honestly. I'm interested in cheerleading for anything that turns out to be a bad policy. Again, I ran for office. I ran against what I thought was a really bad idea and a prolonged presence in Iraq.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and pause that there. And, I have to agree with him, man. The propaganda and lies and bullshit coming from the left, I don't know how Trump can handle it. I'll tell you what. He must have a backbone of titanium. Man, the stuff that he just blows off. No wonder some of the things he says, you just kind of shake your head at. I guess he's just had it. He's just had it. All right, let's click on this Rumble link and show you that this video does come from Dan Bongino Show. I'm following his channel. I've given him a thumbs up. I hope you do the same thing for me. All right, let's jump back here. I was doing a little chatting here with Debbie BS and Foxy Grandma and Susie Poll 2016. Let me close that out. Anybody else want to chat with me? Go up there. I got 19 people watching and 3 people have chatted. So there's 16 people out there that's, shy or something. Just give me a thumbs up or a hi or a how do you do. All right. American Center for Law and Justice, ACLJ, Sekulow, Swalwell under fire in FBI spy probe. Yeah, I knew that guy was a piece of shit. Oh, 2 pieces of shit. Here we go.
Eric Swalwell, who's a candidate for governor of California, has now sent a cease and desist letter to the FBI. One, the fact that he's like, I think we can just tell him to stop, send a cease and desist is pretty brazen. I think a lot of people may try this tactic if he's successful in the future. But this comes as there's news that the director of the FBI, Kash Patel, as many other people in the team, are looking at releasing the investigative docs around the Chinese spy that had infiltrated his campaign and his office. This is Eric Swalwell. Everyone remembers this story. Christine Fang, also known as Fang Fang, that ended up being a spy, a Chinese government spy that had gotten very close to the congressman and was able to infiltrate his office. Now, the congressman is trying to say this is election interference, putting out information about me that could be negative. This is going to really hurt my political campaign. I did nothing wrong. This is the same person who bought into the Russia collusion hoax and would leak, was actually investigated for leaking in the first Trump administration. Information, investigative things about the Russia collusion hoax. He was so certain that it was President Trump was colluding with Russia. He is also the one that will play sound too about how adamant he is that you have to get all of the documents out for transparency about things like Jeffrey Epstein. But all of a sudden, when it's hitting close to home, he's sending a cease and desist from his attorney saying, hey, there's going to be legal trouble for you, Kash Patel, if you release my documents.
I think we should play this to set everything up. So this is Eric Swalwell. Before you hear everything, back on, this is from CNN. This is from December.
I see it as the best disinfectant is sunlight, but sunlight will not work when all the names have been blacked out. So release the files. We have a lot that we could do if Republicans want to join us. Trust that the Americans are mature enough to handle it. We can handle the truth regardless of who's in it, Republican or Democrat.
And obviously that is about the Epstein files. But meanwhile, the letter from his attorney to Kash Patel says this: the congressman has never been accused of wrongdoing in that matter, and your attempt to release the file is a transparent attempt to smear him and undermine his campaign for governor of California, the letter said. Your actions threaten to expose you and others at the FBI and the FBI itself to significant legal liability. Meanwhile, these are documents we have been seeking at the FBI, at the ACLJ for 5 years or more. Our first lawsuit of the Biden administration was a FOIA lawsuit trying to get the agencies to respond because of all of this information that came out that Christine Fang had been able to, over a long period of time, embed herself within his entire camp. So we knew that she was close to Eric Swalwell. He was on the House Intelligence Committee. He had access to very sensitive documents that a Chinese spy would be interested in. And we wanted to know at the ACLJ how damaging that was to U.S. national security. And Jordan now, like, he's trying to brush it off. Like, this was 10 years ago when she was in my office. Nothing to see here. I did nothing wrong, so therefore you shouldn't see this. And actually, this is a violation of my rights, FBI, if you release these documents. This is ridiculous.
If a spy successfully infiltrated his office and he did nothing wrong, why would you not want the information out so that other offices like yours, and if you're running for governor of the largest state in the country, that you want to make sure as well that kind of infiltration doesn't happen at the state level, which obviously we know the Chinese have these influence campaigns in the United States, and they were targeting California politicians. Remember, it was Feinstein who had she had the driver for over a decade, who came out and was known as a Chinese spy. It doesn't necessarily mean that they did something illegal. It could have been bad judgment at a certain point to say, you know what, maybe why is this person hanging around? Why are we getting so close to this person? There's some personal allegations here, I think, as well. But the idea is that if you want everything out about Donald Trump and you want him accountable for everything and everybody associated with him, then everything should come out about you when it actually does make sense. I mean, this isn't just like we randomly want to release stuff on Eric Swalwell because he's running for governor of California.
Yeah, it's issues.
There's a Chinese influence campaign of spies that has been targeting California elected officials and other politicians. I don't care if they're Republican or Democrat. At a certain point, I think the information is able to be shared with the American people without giving up the intelligence, so it's not harming an ongoing investigation, so that others know, because we have new members of Congress elected all the time, like he was in an unexpected victory, who come in with very young staff, and then people, say, "Hey, I'll work for you," and they're low salaries, and we need to know what to look for as problems all over Washington D.C., especially
against a country that we know is actively got a campaign to put these Chinese spies inside American elected officials' offices.
Well, and once again, Jordan, when you think about the absurdity that he's saying, you're just trying to interfere with my election. That is what he and Adam Schiff did for years. You had to go through an impeachment hearing and trial on the Senate.
He was actually
floor.
part of the impeachment team after President Trump wasn't president. We tried to impeach a president who wasn't in office. So again, you kind of reap what you sow to some extent. He always kind of, I think, was playing too close to the fire because these allegations were always coming out at the same time. And it was kind of, very much a double standard. On the one hand, we know that there's a Chinese spy close to him. And that doesn't mean, again, that he did anything illegal. He hasn't been charged with a crime. But that also doesn't shield the information from the American people because it could be helpful. And I even look past like political campaigns. Think about the kind of corporate interest, not even just huge companies. But let's say you are a chemical company, a small chemical company in Kansas, right? And how did what to look for when people show up who again, they fit the bill, it looks like they would be good for the job, but then you start kind of looking into the background that you do a normal background check, especially if you're handling anything sensitive, like the Congressional Office Committee would be. You say, you know what, we might need to slow this down. Not a racial matter. It's not an ethnicity matter. It's just we know there's an issue with China. Let's get more information before we let these people close to a sitting U.S. congressman.
And remember, they had to shut down a consulate in the United States because it was just a spy outpost. This is not
the police stations,
right? In New York, like this isn't so outside the realm of possibility. But also, we know that she was within his office, and the fact that as a public servant, as someone who was a member of Congress representing people of California and now wanting to be a governor of the state, the fact that they wouldn't say, yeah, let's release it all. Let's let them see everything to see how this is going on. Because you know what I care about? I care about national security. He could even spin this and try to say like, well, we don't have Department of Homeland Security because the Republicans, even though we know that their spin there is false, but he could try to spin it and say like, well, we're at a very dangerous time. We need to get more sunlight on these things. No, instead they're sending a cease and desist and threatening legal action, saying you're violating my First Amendment rights because you're targeting me because I'm of a different party. That's their argument here, Jordan, is that the fact that he was the one that had a spy within the office. This isn't as though it is something brand new that no one has cared about. We've been fighting this for 5 years, trying to get information. If it can come out this way, because they are going through, redacting, making sure that top secret information or things of that nature isn't included, doing it carefully, and then releasing it, I am very proud of the FBI for being transparent. We have seen that since President Trump was reelected and since there's been a new guard at the FBI of getting this type of stuff out. And the fact that he is sitting here after years of leaking information that he got on his committee and Adam Schiff got on their committees, leaking it out to damage their political opponents, he tried to cry foul now. I think he should just be like, I've done similar things. I guess this is where we're at. But no, he's going to try to make this like he's going to hide it and say, no, I was not infiltrated by a Chinese spy when we know he was.
Honestly, I don't even know if this really hurts him in California. I mean, because he can play the politics of it that he wants to. And obviously, if he's the leading candidate, that tells you where kind of California politics is to this day. At the same time, again, it shouldn't be about him. It should be that this is information that the whole country was concerned about. The fact is that it doesn't matter if you're infiltrating these fundraisers who are putting interns in people's offices by Democrats or Republicans. It's not about necessarily that the member of Congress violated the law. It's what should they and their staffs be on the lookout for. After he was briefed by the FBI, he cut the relationship off. She was no longer around, no longer did he fundraising for him. So he obviously knows that there was enough information there. He didn't fight back and say, no, this is someone who's helped my campaigns. I'm going to still let them help my campaigns. No, that he got the information. It was Kevin McCarthy who said after the FBI briefing, you wouldn't want Eric Swalwell on any of your committees. And that's not just the Intel committee, on any committees after what the FBI told him in a closed door hearing about that situation. And of course, his leaking that we also know was a huge issue with him and Adam Schiff's office when you're dealing on intel committees, that's the one thing you're not supposed to be doing, is leaking intelligence information for political purposes only, which damage not just your political opponent, but the United States of America and our intelligence community.
All right, there you have it. And why is it that it seems like all these Democrats are just corrupt? I don't get it. I mean, it's the party of corruption. Seems like if you're corrupt, you're a Democrat. If you're a Democrat, you're corrupt. It's unbelievable. Now, I know that there are some corrupt Republicans, but man, it seems like through and through. Okay, I'm trying to get over here to the Rumble link. Okay, and for some reason it's not allowing me to do so. There we go. Okay. Nope. Still didn't do it. It's still loading. Boy, I hope Rumble's not going crazy here. But at any rate, this video does come from American Center for Law and Justice. Following the channel, I've given them a thumbs up. I hope you do the same thing for me. All right, let's jump back here. Let me share this page. Things kind of blowing up on me here. Okay, here we go. Yep, got some chats going here. Foxy Grandma. Come on, folks, give me a chat. I got 19 people watching. Chat out to me. Okay, let's see what Doug in Exile has to say. Jackson humiliated after Supreme Court exposes the truth. Well, amazing, because it's another corrupt Democrat. Let's see here.
Did you know today is Trans Visibility Day? We have a huge win at the Supreme Court against the trans agenda. Thank you, Clarence Thomas. Thank you to the 6 conservatives on the bench. And we actually pulled over 2 liberals. That's how psychotic this thing is. Can you guys guess the one holdout? Let me know in the chat below. The one holdout on the Supreme Court that went against free speech in trying to protect kids from the trans movement. Welcome to Doug in Exile. This is where the happy patriots are. Part of why we're happy is because though the world is going mad, it is not completely mad. The Supreme Court is a backstop to stop the madness. This one could have gone bad. Again, if Trump didn't get a Supreme Court picks, this would have gone the other way. You would not be able to speak out against the transing.
Thanks for watching. The Supreme Court ruling against a Colorado law banning so-called conversion therapy for LGBTQ children. Shannon Bream watching this and getting the ruling now. What was decided? Good morning to you, Shannon.
Hey, Bill, good to see you. So a therapist out there in Colorado challenged this law when it was passed, saying...
Hold on. It's not just any therapist. They left a detail out. It's a Christian therapist. It was a Christian therapist that when a trans kid came in who was, say, a biological male, said, I believe I am a female, and the therapist, Christian, wanted to be able to tell them, you're a biological male. That's what was being fought at the Supreme Court. Does a therapist have a right to say that?
I need to be able to counsel clients for whatever services they're... Looked at this, finally decided 8-1 in her favor, striking down that law in Colorado. I want to read you part of what they said. They said it's censoring speech based on viewpoint, specific things. It says the First Amendment stands as a shield against any effort to enforce orthodoxy in thought or speech in this country. It goes on to say, even if you have good intentions in this law, if you suppress speech based on a particular viewpoint, it just can't stand up. I mean, 8-1, there was only one dissenter here.
Okay, this is what they were trying to censor. At the Colorado state level, they were trying to censor a therapist from their free speech to be able to say a biological male is a male. That was it. And this is a Christian lady therapist who is being stopped by her evil, oppressive Colorado state mind brainwashing, and it fell before the Supreme Court.
It was Justice Jackson. She has said that this ruling is potentially catastrophic. She says the majority finds at bottom that Colorado likely cannot legislate to protect the children of its state if by doing so it happens to keep state licensed healthcare providers from saying what they want to minors. She goes on to say it will ultimately risk grave harm to Americans' health and well-being. She says you should be able to regulate the speech of somebody who's providing care to minors. 8-1, majority of the court did not think so.
This is a huge free speech victory against Colorado, supported by our Supreme Court. And the lone dissenter on the Supreme Court was lunatic, low rent, DEI hire Ketanji Brown Jackson. I mean, I don't know if she's the dumbest member of the Supreme Court. I think Sotomayor is the dumbest, but I think Ketanji Brown Jackson is the least qualified, the most evil appointed by Biden. Here's Matt Walsh with a little bit of clarity and color on this ruling just to help clarify the argument. So this is the Supreme Court wire over on Twitter. In an 8-1 vote, the Supreme Court holds that Colorado's ban on conversion therapy as applied to petitioners' talk therapy violates the First Amendment because it constitutes viewpoint discrimination. Now, when it comes to trans, they don't care. They want to discriminate against your voice. They want you to lose your job if you oppose the trans agenda and the LGBTQ agenda, frankly. They want you to lose your job. They want you to be shamed in public. They don't want you to have any legal standing to be able to talk against it. They want you banned from Twitter and all of these social media platforms. Here's Matt Walsh with that clarity. He says, to be clear, this was a law that attempted to ban therapists from telling gender-confused boys that they're actually boys. That was the big controversy. That's where we're at in the state of madness today, guys. It's gone up to the Supreme Court, and all that's happened, the big victory, we get returned to normal. We didn't gouge out a bunch of rights, and it just goes back to normal, that you can tell biological boys that they're actually biological boys and girls, that they're actually girls. It was literally a law prohibiting anyone in the therapy profession from verbally acknowledging biological reality to their clients. This would have further discredited the therapy industry, which already has it's a soft science, guys. This is wacko stuff. I'm not trying to, I've been to therapy. It was very helpful, but you get the wrong therapist and it's just Lulu, who knows what you're going to get. And now they were trying to prevent a giant majority opinion of what most people think about biology, that a biological boy is a biological boy. They were trying to stop that at the constitutional level. It would have been madness. We were spared this, guys, by getting Trump twice. God used it to save young, confused kids' lives. Easily one of the most psychotic pieces of legislation ever passed was in Colorado, anywhere in the world at this time in history. The fact that Ketanji Brown Jackson tried to uphold this law in Colorado, even as her fellow liberals broke ranks with her, just proves again that she's the most unfit, unqualified, unhinged lunatic to ever hold a seat on the Supreme Court. We can't read this opinion without offering some level of compliment to Kagan and Sotomayor, as though they're flaming liberals and also lunatics. They didn't go flying off the edge against free speech like Ketanji Brown Jackson did. So hats off to Sotomayor and to Kagan for going with the side of justice, going with the side of rule of law, going with the side of the Constitution protecting free speech. Even they knew they couldn't defend this. Ketanji Brown Jackson goes flying off, driving her truck off the cliff of insanity, going, no, I'll go there. I'll go there. You don't have free speech. Meanwhile, on the day of trans recognition, here's Mayor Zoran Mamdani in New York. Today is Trans Day of Visibility. Trans, non-binary, and gender non-conforming people. Too many syllables, Mayor. You lost me. Gender non-conforming people have always been here. I got to say, nobody doubts that they have never been here. You dummy. This is a false argument already. He can only make false arguments. If you start with a premise that's a lie, that a man can have a baby, you're going to only get bad results thereafter. From the Hijra of India to the Dinay Nadlihi, to the leaders who built the modern LGBTQA movement here in New York. If I keep saying these names, the furniture, once again, is going to start floating around the room. Shamlaka. From the Hijra of India to the Dine Nadlihi, to the leaders who built, is that a credit to the LGBT movement that's built in New York? Where's Adam Smith? Where's Thomas Jefferson? Name a name that doesn't sound like a Harry Potter magic spell. Your existence is not up for debate. Yeah, I don't debate their existence either. Your lives are not a political issue. It's only become a political issue because you forced one way of thinking about it on the entire therapy industry at the law level. You made it a political issue. When you say that I have to agree with you on the entire trans issue and then a man can have a baby, that a biological male is actually a real live woman, you did this. You made it political. You encroached on reality on my household and tried to get me to lose my job for stating the truth. You did it, Mamdani. And once again, Democrats always accuse the other side of what they do. He says, we're fighting for a city where every trans New Yorker can live openly, safely, and with joy. Now, it's not my fault they don't have joy and the highest suicide rate in the world. That's because, I don't know if it's because of it, correlation is not causation, but there sure seems like a whole lot of overrepresentation of insanity, suicide, shooting up schools, all that. I'm going to get down to some of these comments because some of my friends are in these comments. These are directly addressed to Mamdani. Here's transgenderism is a mental health issue. Here's my friend Mecca McChee says, cite us some verses from the Quran about trans issues. Yeah, Mamdani, you're a Muslim. Get with the trans issues. What was the customary way Muslims deal with transgenders? Is there a roof involved? As your wife, I'm sure knows. And here's a little Lego of a little rainbow guy being thrown off a roof. Here's some of the lunatics. Again, here's the shooters. Here's 2 shot by ICE in 2026, 36 shot by transgenders in 2026. I got to get down here. This is my favorite one. Someone peeling out on over a rainbow crosswalk is a hate crime, and a trans student shooting up a daycare here in Tennessee is not a hate crime. Are you guys seeing the pattern yet? This is all brainwashing. Meanwhile, we're still looking forward to the Supreme Court. From the Washington Post, the Trump administration argues the 14th Amendment, that's birthright citizenship, does apply to people in the country illegally or on temporary visas. If the Supreme Court agrees, it could render hundreds of thousands of children born to immigrant parents stateless. And I support that, but we'll let the Supreme Court mull that out. That is being argued actively this week. Remember, subscribing is free. It's how you tell me thank you and boost up my poor self-image. And on today, which is Trans Visibility Day, I don't know when trans were ever more visible. You don't need a day to do it. They're out there marching, presenting to everyone, demanding everyone look at me. Their tend to be attention hounds. I know a ton of trans people. I hired a trans person on my show, Cat Scratch, because they were a very good artist. And I wanted to make my show as best as possible. And I became good friends with this trans person, and they never made me agree with their life decisions. I would flat out tell this guy presenting as a girl, I disagree with what you did with your life, but I love you. I'm in service to you. I love your work. I would talk to them and we would have cigarettes together every day. And I would present the gospel and just love on this person. So opposing the trans ideology, it's no different than if I have a friend who's a Muslim. He doesn't expect me to agree with his faith. Look, I don't agree with your faith, but I love you. And Jesus died for you. And I'm not here to destroy your life because you disagree with me. Unlike Ketanji Brown Jackson. I'm Doug in Exile.
All right, there you have it, folks. And this video does come from Doug in Exile. This is the video I shared with you. I am subscribed to his channel. I've given him a thumbs up. I hope you do the same thing for me. All right, I want to jump over here and share my stats with you. Here we are, starting out in April. Okay, hours streamed from Rumble Studio. I need 30, and I've got 10.1. And what this is, I guess, the categories that Rumble wants me to meet in order for them to help promote my videos out. So the more people can see them and more people can hear the truth. Okay, that's what we're here to do. We're here to share no nonsense, common sense, logic, and truth. Okay, so I'm just sharing my stats with you. Total unique chatters this month. This is the category that seems to lag. All right, I need 20 new people. I mean, if you've chatted with me last month, that's fine. But you need to chat with me this month, okay? I've got Foxy Grandma, and I've got Debbie BS, and Susan Poll 2016 have chatted with me today. So if I've got 27 people watching. I've got enough people watching. If every one of you just put a hi or a thumbs up or a thumbs down or whatever, or get lost or you suck in the chat box, that would be fantastic. That would put me over my area here. Rumble Premium exclusive hours streamed. My requirement is 5. I've got 6.5. I did my daily news wrap up last night after midnight. I changed it into Rumble Premium to get that. Hours watched this month, okay, 200. Right now, we're April 1st, 141.8. Okay, so that'll be covered tomorrow. All right, total unique raids. Total unique raids this month. I need 5. I've got 3 today. I'll probably do 3 again tomorrow, and that'll be covered. But the category that's kind of lagging behind is people chatting in the chat box. For some reason, they think that's important. So if you could just give me a chat, I would greatly appreciate it. All right, with that being said, let's jump back here and close this out and slide down here and see what Wendy Bell has to say. Wendy Bell Radio, April's Fools. Okay, let's check it out.
You know, if you follow this program with any regularity, you know I harp about the garbage situation in my city of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. It's one of those things that is so unnecessary that drags everybody down. Because when you see garbage all over the side of the highway, it doesn't seem like that big of a deal to just chuck something out the window and add to it. And so then after a while, you have filth. Well, with the NFL draft rolling into town, we've got crews out, 400 tons of filth along the roadways, 50 miles of roads. It's all been picked up. And as I was driving in this morning, the mattress that's been propped up at the Squirrel Hill on-ramp to the Parkway East inbound, that's been there for about 6 months, that has been through snowstorms and torrential downpours, and is no doubt 1,000 pounds, is finally gone from the highway. Thank you. Thank you. Now, if we can do something kind of lickety-split when the city feels like it, because there's the NFL draft coming into town and everybody needs it to look good, so you put your best face forward. I don't like that. I don't think you should be somebody in person and then different when nobody else is around. And I think that you would be very disappointed if you ran into me at the grocery store, at the airport, or if I was out and about at a restaurant with my family and you came over to say hi to me and I was anything other than what you would expect. That is why the trash situation in my community has me so frustrated, because it's not a big lift. It's not a big ask. It's basic decency and self-respect. And I'm tired of looking at people who lost theirs. I'm tired of the administrations that continue to get elected in blue cities such as mine that never change anything. Anything, it gets worse. Why? Are you too lazy? Are you not competent? Do you not care? D, all of the above. It's not acceptable if you're going to be a leader. This is one of the many reasons why I appreciate Donald Trump. You might find some of the things that he says or truths out, or some of his comments, like, good, I'm glad he's dead, when Bob Mueller died. You might find some of those things a little cringy. Maybe you wouldn't do them. But you are not him, and nor am I. Easy to criticize. Hard to be the guy. But what he has been consistent. He has been true to the words that he has said. Whether the interviews were 40 years ago, as he was building his real estate portfolio, growing the Trump brand, making deals, or whether it was just 10 years ago, 11 years ago, moments after he came down that escalator and told the world he believed he had the goods, that he, in fact, might be the only chance for this country to not completely go down the toilet. See, the garbage on the side of the road makes me so unhappy because that's what it looks like when it's time to flush. And I'm tired of living in a community that has no self-respect, no dignity, no care. This president does. You don't develop a man like the Trump name by lying to people. You don't develop a portfolio that back in 2015, when he was announcing he was running for president, that he admitted to everybody had tax filing data. He had his accountant crunch all the numbers. Here is my net worth, $8 billion, he said. My hands and assets worth $8 billion. He said, I'm not here to brag about that, though. I don't need this job. I don't need the paycheck. I'm not here for an ego boost. I'm here because somebody has to save this country before the plunger, the flusher, is done doing its job. He has been very consistent about many things: traditional family values, about safety, about following the rules, about doing what one should do, especially when one is looking. He's been very consistent about Iran. And he said on June 16th, 2015, these very words you're going to hear, no doubt, tonight at 9 o'clock when the president addresses America. Here's Trump 11 years ago.
I will stop Iran from getting nuclear weapons. And we won't be using a man like Secretary Kerry that has absolutely no concept of negotiation, who's making a horrible and laughable deal, who's just being tapped along as they make weapons right now.
What we're going to do is bomb the boop out of them. He's been very clear about that. This isn't some, we're going to negotiate endlessly with a country that lies to us and never fulfills what it says it's going to do. And so they effed around and found out. I like that about this man. I don't find that there are lots of surprises. And because of that, the relentless assault on him offends me. Because every article that's written to demean him, to diminish him, to do something to dismantle the Trump name is time that's not being spent talking about real problems, real abuse. Last night before he went to bed, President Trump wrote this on Truth Social. Doesn't mince words. And if I were Keir Starmer over in the UK, I'd be going, oh, snap. This is what he wrote. All of those countries that can't get jet fuel because of the Strait of Hormuz, like the United Kingdom, which refused to get involved in the decapitation of Iran. I have a suggestion for you. Number one, buy from the U.S. We have plenty. And number two, build up some delayed courage. Go to the Strait and just take it. You'll have to start learning how to fight for yourself. The USA won't be there to help you anymore, just like you weren't there for us. Iran has been essentially decimated. The hard part is done. Go get your own oil. President DJT. You've got to love it. The man is nothing but loyal, consistent, real, dependable, and in this crazy world where all of a sudden Democrats, who were the party of slavery, of course, Democrats who were the ones who were against LGBT, all that jazz, until all of a sudden they saw that community, the rainbow crowd, as an opportunity, right? This Democrat Party that's now sold out the country to illegal aliens and has basically given my unborn grandchildren's wealth to them and has robbed us of our security and our safety. Damn right. I stand next to this president. Damn right. He also put out something last night that I think was intriguing. And this is what he wrote, which I believe is going to be the basis of tonight's conversation, 9 o'clock. Iran's new regime president, much less radicalized and far more intelligent than his predecessors, has just asked the United States of America for a ceasefire. We will consider when this Hormuz Strait is open, free, and clear. Until then, we are blasting Iran into oblivion, or as they say, back to the Stone Ages, President DJT. Every movie makes every bit of collateral, every bit of leverage, every deal, everything. He knows damn well what he wants. And what he wants is always good for America. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, let's talk about Operation Epic Fury. Let's go into the Oval Office yesterday. Signed some pretty important emergency orders, if you will. Be nice to see the freaking Senate do its job and pass one of something. A girl can dream. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network.
Absolutely right. Well, she knows how to tell a story. Let's get up here.
Oh, it is magic.
Here we go.
Oh, it is magic, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Wendy Bell. I mean, a president and a secretary of war and a secretary of state who come forward and say, this is what we're going to do. We're going to eliminate Iran's ability to make a nuclear weapon ever again, at least for decades, right? Number two, we're going to take out their military. We're going to destroy all of their naval vessels. We're going to destroy all of their drones. Number three, right? We're going to destroy all of their munitions, all of the missiles, and then we're going to destroy all of the factories and make all of it. And if they still want to fiddle with us and they still want to fire rockets at people and they still want to fiddle with the ships passing in the Strait of Hormuz, we will destroy every last fragment of their infrastructure, their power grid, their water treatment plants, and their oil facilities. Bye-bye. One call, one day, over. And still the people in the media and the Democrats are confused by this. See, mission is almost accomplished. And to this president, when the mission is almost accomplished, you let people know, and then you let the military know, we're going to be wheels up soon. The people of Iran are now in charge. So this is what's going on tonight. Trump says the U.S. will exit Iran in 2 to 3 weeks. Let's listen to what he said. This is yesterday in the Oval Office. And I think this is one of the, I don't know if this is Wei Zhang or whatever. She's in charge of the White House press corps, whatever. But they're asking him about, they want this to be a drumbeat that they can hit on repeatedly. This ridiculous war. Well, it's almost over. So how about you suck it? Here you go.
I think with 2 or 3 weeks.
Not 3 weeks. If it is,
we'll leave because there's no reason for us to do this. Look, problem with the Strait, a guy can take a mine, drop it in the water, and say, "Oh, it's unsafe." It's not like you're taking out an army or you're taking out a country, or they can drop it, or you can take a machine gun from the shore and shoot a little few bullets at a ship, or maybe an over-the-shoulder missile, small missiles. That's not for us. That'll be for France. That'll be for whoever's using the Strait. But I think when we leave, probably that's all cleared up. Today, I heard tremendous numbers of ships were sailing through. We're negotiating with them right now. They've been, again, we have had regime change. Now, regime change was not one of the things I had as a goal. I had one goal. They will have no nuclear weapon. And that goal has been attained. They will not have nuclear weapons. But we're finishing the job. And I think within maybe 2 weeks, maybe a couple of days longer to do the job. But we want to knock out every single thing we have. Now, it's possible that we'll make a deal before that, because we'll hit bridges, and we've hit some. We'll hit some bridges. Got a couple of nice bridges in mind. But if they come to the table, that'll be good. But it doesn't matter whether they come or not. We've set them back. It'll take 15 to 20 years for them to rebuild what we've done to them.
nuclear weapons. Iran will have no nuclear weapons. That consistency for 11 years, the guy's been saying it as a political entity. And I bet if we went back in time, we would find public statements he's made as a businessman about Iran, right? So there he goes. This was our goal. We went in. We achieved our objective. We're very close to achieving the others. And when we do, as much as we'd love Iran to have a responsible leader, that's not the reason we went in there. The Iranian people will have to take over the same way Keir Starmer and Macron and the others who were limp-wristed in assisting the United States protecting the Strait of Hormuz. They can handle the ancillary thugs on the shore who remain from the Iranian regime. We'll be out of there, and that will be that. Now, how is the left going to beat that? I don't know. I don't know what they're going to say. I don't care. I feel like you and I have been been kept in the loop the whole time. President Trump said Tuesday, Operation Epic Fury in Iran will come to an end in the next 2, maybe 3 weeks, perhaps even sooner. His comments came while fielding questions from reporters after signing an election integrity executive order to ensure mail-in ballots are only given to and returned by eligible voters. It's such an amazing idea. What? There's a barcode on the outside of your envelope, and that barcode is specific to you, and you are identifiable in a federal database? What? That the feds are going to share with the states so they can't cheat.
What's going on here?
No wonder.
Let me refresh this here.
Number
It was not one of the things finished last they
as go.
I'm not
As
sure
much as
what
we
Rumble's
Keir
going on
Starmer
here.
and the ancillary thugs on the shore who remain from the Iranian regime. We'll be out of there, and that will be that. Now, how is the left going to beat that? I don't know. I don't know what they're going to say. I don't care. I feel like you and I have been been kept in the loop the whole time. President Trump said Tuesday, Operation Epic Fury in Iran will come to an end in the next 2, maybe 3 weeks, perhaps even sooner. His comments came while fielding questions from reporters after signing an election integrity executive order to ensure mail-in ballots are only given to and returned by eligible voters. It's such an amazing idea. What? There's a barcode on the outside of your envelope, and that barcode is specific to you, and you are identifiable in a federal database? What? That the feds are going to share with the states so they can't cheat.
I'm not sure what's going on here with Rumble.
Suggestion for you.
There we go.
One from the U.S. We got lots of oil too. Build up some freaking courage. Grow up. Get your oil yourself. There's a lot of finger wagging going on from a lot of bureaucrats who sit behind desks and have no idea what the actual war is like. Well, you're going to hear from them today, the people pushing back. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, Trump visits the Supreme Court. He was there moments ago. Is he still there? We're not sure, but people are twisted. What's he hearing about this birthright citizenship? Why do you care about it? Oh, you care. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network.
All right, let's see if I can pull up Rumble. Remember when I tried to pull up Rumble for ACLJ? Here we go. I got this for Wendy Bell. Okay, this video does come from Wendy Bell. I am following her channel. I've given her a thumbs up. I hope you do the same thing for me. Okay, I want to share some information with you here from Rumble Wallet.
They can cancel your accounts, freeze your cards, decide what you're allowed to buy, say, or support. Big banks and financial institutions have total control, and they use it. That's why financial independence matters more now than ever.
Introducing Rumble Wallet, a wallet built for real freedom. With Rumble Wallet, you control your money, not a bank, not a government, not a tech company. Buy digital assets like Tether, Tether Gold, and Bitcoin in one secure place. No permission, no middleman, no cancel button, and when you want to support the creators you actually believe in, you can use the Rumble Wallet app to directly tip content creators securely, instantly, and without interference.
Designed for patriots who stand tall, this cap captures the enduring spirit of liberty. The Liberty Bell stands proud this isn't a credit line they can shut off. It's your wallet permanently. Yours to protect your future. Yours to protect your family. When the system fails, when institutions turn on their own people, financial sovereignty is the difference between security and vulnerability.
Rumble Wallet isn't about politics. It's about freedom, ownership, and protecting what's yours. So take control today. Download Rumble Wallet now and step away from the big banks for good. True ownership, true protection, true financial freedom.
Okay, here we are. Now what I've done is I've copied the live chats into a comment so that they will be a permanent part of this video. And remind you folks that these videos that I've shared with you are videos that come directly from the producer's channel. Okay, here in the description box I have a link to the videos that I shared with you, as well as a link to the producer's channel. So if you want to go see what other information they have, by all means please do so. These videos that I've shared with you are videos that I've posted here on Mertech.com, where I have over 40 no-nonsense, common sense, logic and truth videos, the kind of information that you're not going to get on the mainstream media. Now I'd like to share all this information with you, but unfortunately I just don't have the time to do so. And that's why I put together my Mertech Daily News Wrap-Up. We're going to start off with the video we were just watching here from Wendy Bell. Start off where we left off. Same thing with Dan Bongino. We're going to finish that up. We got information from X22 Report, Dr. Steve Turley, On the Fringe, We the People News, Steve Dace, News for Reasonable People, McWater's Effect. Says I have 22 videos here and about 10 hours worth of great information. So with that being said, go ahead and take a break. Grab a cup of coffee and a donut, or a sandwich and a soft drink, or a beer, or a nice glass of wine and some cheese, and meet me back here in about 15 or 20 minutes, and we'll get this going. Give me time to set this up in Rumble Studio. But with that being said, I do want to thank you for being here with me tonight. Hopefully, I'll get to see you again later, and may God bless.